Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, summer is here and along with the beautiful weather we get to enjoy a perennial favorite activity, horse shows. For those of you who are familiar with the channel, you know that I'm a huge promoter of getting your own reference material, and horse shows are a great resource for headshots and different actions or gaits. Now this particular list applies to speed shows or classes where the participants are timed. Western speed and action classes such as barrels, rings, or poles. The exhibitors in these classes are all going to be in and out really fast. Think 60 seconds or less. And the patterns for the class will be repeated for each participant, so don't worry if you missed the first shot, or if you like a different horse. Even with English or jumper classes, which have more complex patterns, chances are you will have at least 3 more opportunities to try your shot. Number 1. The first, of course, is a reminder that horses can be very dangerous. It may seem to many who grew up around horses and livestock that this is a given, but to many, it's not. So for those of you that sometimes forget that these animals are 800 and 1,200 pounds of power and often have a mind of their own, they can spook, buck, throw a rider at a moment's notice. And while many clubs have requirements about helmets and will stop a show if the weather turns severe, and will often have EMTs on site or standby in the event of an emergency, that does not stop the accidents from happening. And they do happen. There are several factors that can affect the safety of a run. The wetness of the ring, the temperament of the horse, the ability of the rider and the horse are just a few factors that can instigate an accident where horses and or riders get injured in the ring. Now, not all of the factors that cause accidents can be foreseen or prevented. It's just the nature of an accident. However, despite clubs taking as many safety precautions as possible, riders and horses do get injured and sometimes severely injured in the ring. And this is something that people of the horse community have learned to accept and is part of the equine sports, so please remember that. Number 2, be prepared for a whole day out, in whatever weather nature brings. Don't forget sunblock on sunny days and dress in layers in fall and spring. Drink water, not soda, to keep you hydrated. While some riders may just be there for a few hours and officials have the option of rotating in and out of buildings, you may easily lose track of a whole day enjoying the challenge of photographing the next run. This does include rain, so a poncho may keep you dry, but not your gear. And it's unlikely that a show will be canceled over an afternoon sprinkle. Number 3. The first thing I'm going to say about your gear is bring a tripod. Line up your shots and practice your camera movements before the show or class starts. This small exercise will help refresh your muscle memory of where to go and when to shoot. The movements you make with your camera are subtle, and the focal lengths will change nearly constantly during the small window of 15 to 45 seconds that a horse and rider will be in the ring competing. Also learn or practice using your burst mode so that you're familiar with when your first shot will happen to the last in the burst that your camera will allow. 4. Learning or knowing the patterns that the riders are going to be doing will help you greatly get ahead of where they are going in order to plan out your shot. Some of the easiest patterns to remember are those used in barrels, flag race, home run, or ring spearing. The first 3 classes leave the barrels in the ring as objects the horse and rider must navigate in the best time. flag race, home run, and ring spearing are the easiest to predict, as the horse and rider go along the outside of the ring, near the rail, either clockwise or counterclockwise depending on the choice of the rider. Time penalties will be assessed if the horse knocks down a barrel, or if a flag is not properly placed, or if rings are missed. Horses who routinely run speed classes may be very high-strung once in the ring and hard for riders to handle. Rearing, pacing, snorting, pinning of their ears, tonguing the bit, as well as throwing their heads are all warning signs that a horse is very dangerous in their anxiety. Please remember that when you see this behavior, that equine sports are very dangerous and participants can and do get injured. In an effort to contain the danger to a confined area, it is generally not allowed for riders to come into the ring at a run. There is about 20 feet designated in the beginning of the ring, near the gate, that is allowed for riders and horses to settle in before their timer actually starts. There is a motion sensor that shoots across the ring that will start and stop the clock when the horse and rider have crossed the line. If a rider crosses the line without completing the pattern, it will disqualify them as a participant in the class. The only exception I've seen to this rule is in pro rodeo, where horse and rider are penned out just outside the ring to ensure the safety of the staff, other riders, and the riding team themselves. Open jump or jumper classes are held over a course of show jumping obstacles, including verticals, spreads, double and triple combinations, usually with many turns and changes of direction. The intent is to jump cleanly over a set of course within allotted time. Time faults are assessed for exceeding the time allowance. Jumping faults are incurred for knockdowns, blatant disobedience, such as refusals. Horses are allowed a limited number of refusals before being completely disqualified. Unlike show hunter classes, where the reward is calmness and style, jumper classes require boldness, scope, power, accuracy, and control. Speed is a factor, especially in a jump-off or in speed classes. Grand Prix is the highest level of show jumping. Run under International Federation for Equine Sport rules, the horse jumps a course of 10 to 16 obstacles, with heights up to 1.6 meters or 5 feet 3 inches, and spreads up to 2 meters or 6 foot 7 inches. Grand Prix is most commonly recognized as a jumping event, and is the one featured in the Olympic Games. Number 5. Make use of the tracking feature on your camera. While some may consider this cheating, making use of this tool in your camera greatly increases the likelihood of a clean, focused shot. I keep my focus point on the head of the horse, since in most cases riders will lean up close to the horse's head in an effort to urge them forward or faster. My 5.5 tip would be to take advantage of your burst mode for jumper classes, as each frame has its own uniqueness and action lines that can be used for feature artwork. Number 6. Extra noise in your shot can ruin your composition, so look beyond the immediate foreground of the ring to what lies behind the far rail. Vehicles, trailers, people, and so much more can really detract from your shot. It can take a few runs before you've figured out the perfect shot in the ring for this particular class at this particular time of day, but the scouting pays off with less work in post-production. Excessive physical noise around the ring can change as the day moves along. People come and go, trailers move, horses move. Your lighting and ring patterns change as well. If you're not sure if your shot position will work right now, don't be afraid to walk around the outside of the ring to survey for other shots and angles. Just be sure you're not on the rail, the outsidemost fence of the ring, while there is a class going on. You can spook the horses in the ring, injuring you, the rider, or others. If you are asked not to shoot in a particular area, typically it's frowned upon to not shoot by the gate where a gathering of horses could put you in danger, then respect the club and the riders and move elsewhere, and never go into the ring while a class is in session. Number 7 is respect the show photographer. We may all love taking pictures at our local horse shows, but for some people this isn't a hobby, it's their living. So while you may have more vantage points being able to move around the ring, the show photographer is typically stuck at a designated location, usually picked by the club hosting the event. Please be respectful of their job and the work that they do. Do not scalp your pictures to riders and family members. Not only is this disrespectful, but some clubs will actually ask you leave if you do not stop. If you have been requested to photograph for a client, then out of respect for the show photographer, clear the ring pictures with the show photographer first, or limit your shots you are charging the client for to the practice ring, barn, or other candid shots where there is not a clear competition. Number 8. Clean and check your gear often. If you don't shoot a lot of horse shows or outdoor events where a lot of dry dirt and dust gets kicked up, then you take for granted how much your camera can take. Dust and dirt from the ring can get into the body and the lens areas, slowing down servers that can control your lens retraction, gum up your shutter, as well as other buttons on the body, clogging sensors and impeding the camera's ability to properly focus. I'm not saying your camera needs to be in a bubble, but you will notice how severely all that kicked up dirt affects your gear within a few hours, I promise you. And with that, I'm off to my next adventure. I hope you found this useful, and if you have any questions about this episode or would like to request a subject for a future video, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you back in the studio.